The quarterback rumors for the Pittsburgh Steelers continue, as now Ryan Tannehill has been brought into the discussion. So, we all know the Pittsburgh Steelers this offseason are going to be looking for a quarterback, whether that's a starter to replace Kenny Pickett or even a backup quarterback. Well, now, per reports, Ryan Tannehill's name has been brought into the topic because his link to Arthur Smith, who used to be the offensive coordinator when Ryan Tannehill was starting quarterback for the Titans, and how well they performed together on the football field. So, Ryan Tannehill, along with Justin Fields, Russell Wilson, and Kirk Cousins, they've been named as players the Pittsburgh Steelers will be targeting this offseason, whether that's via trade, free agency, or whatever. I covered all the other quarterbacks except for Russell Wilson and Ryan Tannehill, so now I'll be covering Ryan Tannehill and why I don't believe it would be a good fit, especially from a developmental perspective. So you look at the situation and you look at Ryan Tannehill's comments a few years back, you see what he said when Malik Willis was drafted by the Tennessee Titans, and kind of when he was asked to be the mentor, even though he was still a starter on the team, like asked about mentoring and kind of leading the group and developing Malik Willis and giving him all the insights. He was asked questions about that, and he straight out said, "It's not my job to do that. I'm not getting paid to be a teacher. I'm getting paid to play on the football field. I'm not getting paid to give advice to the backup quarterback who could eventually take my spot in the starting role." And that was his comments. He blatantly said that. And to a point, actually, I agree. Because why would you want to teach and kind of bring a quarterback that's going to replace you in a few years to the top? That means once he's at the top, your career is basically over unless you go to a different team. So I understand that perspective, but then I also understand the perspective of being a leader of the team. And if you're so good, you shouldn't worry about someone overtaking you because of your talent, and you know what you could do on the football field, and you know you could still do it better than the other guy. But those are basically his comments, that he wasn't going to help Malik Willis out in terms of learning the game, and he's just going to do his job and perform on the football field. So when we think of that, and now you hear many people saying that if you bring in Ryan Tannehill, it'll be perfect. Bring him in as a veteran backup quarterback, and he could help develop Kenny Pickett. You've heard that so many times. Help Kenny Pickett out by bringing a veteran quarterback in. Well, if Ryan Tannehill said that he didn't want to help out Malik Willis, what makes you think that he's just going to come in here and just help out Kenny Pickett? Obviously, he still believes he could win at a high level in this league. He went from being a starting quarterback last season to being benched. So he's trying to get back to the top. He's not just going to come in here and just work and be like, "Hey, I'll help you out and I just want to sit on the bench." No, he's going to do his best to try to become the starting quarterback. And like when we bring in other quarterbacks of the past and you look at the guys who are the backup quarterbacks, they knew they're the backup quarterbacks and they had no chance of becoming the starter. Big Ben talked about that a lot on his podcast. Basically, how it was great to have a backup quarterback that knew his role, and his role was basically to come in if injury happens or if something else happens, but mostly just to give great advice on the sideline. But you bringing in guys like Ryan Tannehill, who's still trying to become a starter in this league, and you're going to make him become a backup to Kenny Pickett. He already said he's not going to help teach. That's not his job. Then what's he really going to do on the football field? Are you going to wait and think that maybe Kenny Pickett's going to get injured and then Ryan Tannehill could become the starter? Because if that's the case, then why not just go out and sign or trade for a better quarterback who could actually be the starter from day one instead of taking a chance and waiting for injury to happen? So that's my kind of perspective on the Ryan Tannehill situation, of his comments years back when they first drafted Malik Willis, who was actually in the same draft class as Kenny Pickett. So that kind of had the same timeline. So you look at those comments, and this is my opinion on it. But now looking at it from a different perspective, you look at it from a leadership perspective, and many people are saying that he should come in to help Kenny Pickett develop, and that's my take on it. But now you look at it from an actual football perspective, and you see it from the perspective of he was with Arthur Smith back when he was the offense coordinator of the Titans, and you see what he did with him. you've seen what he was able to do those 2 years with him as the OC. That was his best 2 years in the NFL. And that was the best years of the Titans offense and just team in general getting deep into the playoffs. Now I'm going to read you those stats from those 2 seasons. So the seasons I'm talking about are the 2020 season and the 2021 season. Ryan Tannehill, he came over from the Miami Dolphins in 2019, and then 2020, he had his best season in the NFL. So you look at his yardage, he had 3,819 yards and 33 touchdowns. And then you look at the 2021 season, and he came in, and once again, he put up great yardage. He had 3,734 yards, but this time his touchdowns went down a little bit with 21, and he threw 14 interceptions, but that's still a decent ratio compared to the Steelers quarterbacks like Mitchell Trubisky when they brought him in. And then that season, their record went 12-5, and the 2020 season, they went 11-5. So those are the 2 best records of his career. The other records that you see and that you look at, he never really went better than an 8-8 record. So now with Arthur Smith as his offense coordinator, he was actually able to be a productive quarterback and show out with the Tennessee Titans and actually make a Pro Bowl because of it. So you look at Ryan Tannehill, the best 2 years of his career. And that's kind of the argument that you could make for bringing in Ryan Tannehill to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Many people think, hey, you bring him in, he could be a leader. But no, he could come in and at least be someone who's been in the Arthur Smith offense. If he does change his perspective on developing a quarterback and being there as a mentor, then it's even greater because he's been in the Arthur Smith offense. He knows how to run it. So if he could come in and help Kenny Pickett, that could be huge. But who knows? Based off his comments, you could really only go with that alone at this point. But Ryan Tannehill could be a target for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Who knows? It's still a long way away, and many people are being linked to the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's not like he's the only person. So if the Steelers go a different route and trade for a quarterback or sign a big name in free agency, then Ryan Tannehill's odds to become a Steeler are worse. But if the Steelers do decide to keep Kenny Pickett and go a veteran route, and Mason Rudolph does not return and re-sign with the team, or even if he does, then Ryan Tannehill is a bigger odd to become the Pittsburgh Steeler. So you look at this, but we also see Patrick Peterson. Just recently, he was actually talking on the All Things Covered podcast with the Bryant McFadden about the Steelers quarterback situation and just Kenny Pickett in general. And he said he believes that the Steelers should stick with Kenny Pickett to become the Steelers starting quarterback once again next season. But he was also talking about the other options out there, and he was talking about one guy specifically, Ryan Tannehill. And the one thing that he brought up about Ryan Tannehill was to be cautious of him because of what he said years back of mentoring Malik Willis. So if Patrick Peterson is being cautious of that, then what I'm saying in this video kind of aligns with what he thinks. Be cautious, but it still might be a good fit. So just recently though, you look at Will Levis. Will Levis got drafted by the Tennessee Titans once again. They took a quarterback. They took Malik Willis years prior, did not work out. And then they drafted Will Levis last season. And it seems as though he's going to be working out a little bit better than Malik Willis with the Titans. And you look at Ryan Tannehill's comments about Malik Willis, and his perspective kind of changed a little bit. He said, it's not a fun situation to be in, but I want to be a pro and handle it with class and still be a guy that he can look to. So, not an ideal situation, but I want to try to handle it well. End quote. So, that's basically what he said, and the reason why he's saying it's not an ideal situation is basically what I said earlier in the video. He still wants to be a starter in this league. He's not just willing to be a backup, so he's still fighting for a starting job. So it's not ideal that he was overtook and now he's a backup. But he's trying to make it a better situation than it was with Malik Willis in terms of a leadership standpoint, where he said he wasn't going to mentor him. But now with Will Levis, he wants to be a better mentor for him. So Patrick Peterson says, I think it'd be great because he's a guy who's been in the system, but also we've got to remember the comment that Ryan Tannehill made a couple years ago. And that just kind of sums up my thoughts on the situation and Ryan Tannehill to the Steelers. I don't believe it really moves the needle at all. So I'd rather a bigger move be out there, whether that's trade or free agency. But as of right now, we could only stick with rumors. And this is one of the rumors that has been linked to the Pittsburgh Steelers at the quarterback spot. But with that being said, that's the end of this video. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below on Ryan Tannehill and just the overall perspective. Would you want him to become a Pittsburgh Steeler, or wouldn't you, because of his comments and his stance with the team? Or you just don't think it's a good fit and we should fish for bigger options? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And also, make sure you subscribe to the channel down below as well if you like Steelers content, analysis reports. Like the video, turn on post notifications, click that bell down below so you never miss out whenever I post the next Steelers video. I cover everything Steelers as we move into the off-season, free agency, the draft. I'm covering all every single day, new videos. So turn notifications, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys all later. Till next time, I'm out. Peace.